Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communications, as well as how to build strong family bonds and relationships all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about anxiety and fear of abandonment. In this video, I'm going to be talking about fear of abandonment and a true story from my life, as well as what you can do when a person is experiencing the type of anxiety that is fear of abandonment. Anxiety is a real thing, but sometimes there are circumstances that lead to higher levels of anxiety. In fact, they can even lead to patterns of anxiety. When a person has been abandoned one time and they experienced trauma because of that abandonment, then they can develop an anxiety, which we call fear of abandonment. So there was a time when my son Porter, he was about 2 years old, fell asleep in the car. And we were driving home. It was late one night. I said to Porter's older brother, Quinn, who was 10 years old, "Hey, Quinn, can you take Porter into his bed?" Now, maybe Quinn was a little tired too. Maybe he had been falling asleep and wasn't fully listening to me, but I didn't know this. And so I assumed he heard me and that he was going to take his brother into his bed. Well, I went in the house, unloaded all kinds of things, and then I started getting ready for bed. Then I went from room to room tucking the children in. And when I got to Porter's room, his bed was empty. Suddenly it occurred to me, maybe his brother did not bring him in. Is he still sleeping in the car, in the garage, in the dark? So I went quickly as I could to the garage, and I opened the door of the garage, turned on the lights, and there was my son, 2 years old, screaming in the car, "Help me, Mommy!" And he had clearly been screaming for a long time, but no one had heard him because he was so far away and in a car behind closed doors. Boy, I panicked. I felt like the worst mother in the world. I had left my son in the car in the garage, thinking he was safe in his bed. Oh, he clung on to me. He did not want to go to bed for quite some time that night. We had to hold and cuddle to let him know that it was going to be okay. Now, if only it stopped there, it would have been fine. But this led to a problem. Porter had experienced such fear at that time of 2 years old and being left in the car alone that he was afraid of being alone after that for quite some time. In fact, it was a couple of years before he got over that full fear of abandonment from one experience. He didn't want me to leave, and anytime I was going to leave, he wanted to know when I was coming back. And he would get noticeably, visually stressed and concerned if he ever had to be by himself somewhere. He wanted to know that people were going to come back for him. He knew he was small, the smallest one, and that he couldn't take care of himself. He needed other people, and he had experienced a time where he was trapped and couldn't take care of himself, and no one was there to help him. He did not ever want that circumstance to happen again. And I really cared about him. I wanted him to feel safe and secure and wanted to help him decrease that anxiety that he was experiencing. So we're going to talk about what I did to help my son Porter get over that fear of abandonment and what you can do too if you are helping somebody in a similar circumstance. But first, click the subscribe button. That subscribe button is a gift for you. When you click it, you'll get more videos. Plain and simple. Subscribe now. When Porter experienced abandonment in the car that night, he felt unloved and unimportant. It's super important that we recognize that, because when a person is experiencing the type of anxiety that we call fear of abandonment, they actually are worried or wondering if they are loved enough in whatever circumstance that they might be in, where that anxiety level is starting to rise. They want to know that that love is sure, that they can rely upon it, that it will be there for them no matter what. One of the most important things I did to help Porter was to talk to him regularly about the feeling of anxiety that he was feeling. He was little, so I didn't necessarily call it anxiety. I just said worried. Porter, I know that you're worried that Mom is going to go into the bathroom and not come out again. But don't worry. Mom will be right here. She'll be able to talk to you through the door. If you need anything, you can stay right here and I'll hear your voice and I'll be back out in just a moment. I mean, don't we all need to just be able to go to the bathroom sometimes? Well, he would sit outside the door and wait, and he would put his little fingers under the door, and I would say, "Oh, Porter, I see your fingers," so that he would know I saw that he was there. At first, I knew that I just needed to stay with him. I needed to not leave him so that he could recognize that he would not have a similar circumstance that led to so much fear of abandonment. So first step, you talk about the feeling. You give it a word, like in our case, the word was worried. But then you pre-teach your child or whoever it is on a regular basis about what is coming up. What's going to happen? And then think to yourself, what might they experience because they have an issue with fear of abandonment? Well, if they might get worried, then tell them ahead of time. This is what's going to happen. Mom and Dad are going out on a date, and your older brother and sister are going to watch you, or you have a babysitter that will be here with you. I know that you could feel worried that Mom and Dad are not going to come back, but we are going to come back. You will go to sleep before we come home tonight, but when we get home, we will come into your room and we will give you a kiss in your bed, and we will even wake you up and hug you and tell you that we are home so that you can know we are home. Don't worry, we are coming home tonight. So letting them know exactly how things will play out in the future decreases that fear and anxiety just enough that they can start seeing a way forward. Now, another thing that was super important to help Porter was teaching him that he could calm himself down if he started to feel worried or anxious. So we talked about what the feeling worried felt like, and then we talked about what calmness felt like. What does a calm body feel like? What does a calm mind feel like, or a calm voice and a calm face? What do all these things feel like to Porter? We discussed that. And then we talked about how he could tell himself to be calm if he started feeling worried. And that no matter what, we would make sure that he was with someone that he could talk about calmness with, and that they would understand how he gets calm. So this meant that brothers and sisters, grandparents, or babysitters, whoever would be watching Porter, had to understand how Porter got calm and what we had talked to Porter about in order to help him recognize his way to get calm. That way they could simulate those same conversations whenever we weren't there. For the most part, I stayed with Porter most of the time when he was little. In fact, I always did that for my children. I liked to stay really close to them until they were about 4 or 5 years old, and then they started to branch out and do things with friends and other people a little bit more. But until they were 4, they were pretty much strapped to my side, unless, like I mentioned in the example earlier, maybe me and my husband might be going for a date, here and there, but not very often. When the children stay close to their parents, that actually makes them feel more secure. Porter needed that, but really all children need that in their toddler years. When parents leave their toddler children too much, it actually can create a fear of abandonment, increase levels of anxiety. And when parents leave their children too much, it can also do something else that's detrimental, but we don't have time to talk about here, which is it can teach the children to detach from their parents, which actually is really bad for them developmentally. So staying close to your children children is actually a good thing, so don't allow yourself to be annoyed by it. In fact, that's probably one of the most important things that I could tell you in this whole video, and that is that your calmness is key. And since you stayed to the end of this video, I actually have a help for you for your calmness. I have a Calm Parenting Toolkit, which is a mini course that helps parents learn how to be calm when other people are not calm, and how to help someone else get calm without losing your calmness, all at the same time. This mini course is called the Calm Parenting Toolkit, and it's a great beginning course to starting to learn about self-government, parenting skills and practices. In the description below this video, there is a link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. The link says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. Click on that link now and go to the Calm Parenting Toolkit and you will get it for free. I'll see you there.